Good evening. My name is Suchocki. I am a conservative Republican. I've always been a conservative Republican. I have 32 years experience as a trial attorney. I have 14 years experience as a NASA engineer. I have been married to my wife, who's over here. I've acknowledged her for 46 years. We've been Parker County residents for 25 years. I have 2 grown children and 4 grandchildren. I want to be your Justice of the Peace Precinct 4. Why? Well, if you look at my website, electbernard.com, you will see that I have a long history of public service. In addition to that, over 32 years, I have tried numerous cases in a lot of different counties in Texas, and I can tell you that I will be a fair judge. I will listen to all the evidence, and I will render an opinion without any emotion or without any political influence. I think that is one of the premier items for a judge. The other thing that you should know is that for the last 10 years of my career as an attorney, I have a passion for being a judge. I wanted to be a judge. I want to be your judge. And let me give you, in the short time I have, 3 reasons why you should vote for me. First reason has to do with work ethic and skills. Second reason has to do with knowledge. Third reason has to do with promises. First of all, I've had the unique experience as a young man of training and also learning from the best of the best, from Apollo astronauts. I've trained Apollo astronauts from Apollo 7 to Apollo 17 in guidance and navigation, including Neil Armstrong. And this was at a time when America was behind the Russians, and we were working very, very hard to catch up. And I have put in hundreds of voluntary hours without ever expecting any kind of compensation. And I was a GS9 making about $12,000. But we all did that. We all did that. We all had the same goal. And I commit to you that I will bring that same work ethic with me as Justice of the Peace. Also, working with these people, I have learned to, I have a passion, a drive for detail, for organization, and for getting things done. Secondly, my knowledge, 32 years of legal and trial experience. Third, I will be a full-time judge. I am currently a Willow Park councilman. That position ends in May. I have been winding down for 4.5 years. In January, I will have no other commitments. I will be a full-time judge. Thank you very much.
It's like a 360 view almost. My name is Lynn Johnson. I am the Justice of the Peace for Precinct 4, and I'm seeking re-election. I've been married to Ed Huddleston for 22 years. We have 4 girls, Kendall, Callan, Candy, and Cheney. I get tired of the cuts and went with the Chuck for the last one because we named her after Dick Cheney. Other than being their mom, being the JP is the best job I've ever had. And it's something that honestly I didn't expect. Michelle can vouch. Michelle Snell is my court coordinator. She's here to give me moral support. I didn't expect it. I chose to run back in 2010 because I felt called to serve. I saw a need in my community, and because of my legal experience as a lawyer, my business experience, I felt like I was uniquely qualified to fill the job, and grudgingly I answered the call. And if truth be known, I really thought it was a volunteer job because I just felt that passionate about what I needed to do for my community. And since I took the job back in January of 2011, we worked our tails off. And we took that court into, I tried to make it into a court that was more reflective of the other courts in Parker County, like county courts at law and the district judges' courts. We organized it, we managed it, we calendared it, we fixed it, we modernized it, we added technology, and we increased the productivity by over 30%. Michelle and I, we've been through 16,000 cases we resolved in that time period. We made it so that we could be proud of, so that our community could be proud of what we've accomplished, and so we could address those needs of the community. The second thing I focused on, other than treating it like a business, was to provide legal information to the community. What I wanted to do was to help those people that come before the court, and most of them are pro se litigants, was to provide information to them so they could better prepare themselves for appearing in front of the JP. So we worked on a JP website to provide content. The JPs worked on local rules so that those folks that came would have the information they needed to present their cases. The third thing I focused on is juveniles. Those would be our failure to attend cases, primarily in our teen court, and I was one of the founding members of teen court. I'm pretty passionate about it. To me, Justice Court is one of those places where you can have a constructive impact on your community. And teen court is one of those places where you have kids that have offenses, like the one young lady who was caught shoplifting at Walmart. She shoplifted a phone charger. She had the money in her pocket, but she did it on a dare. And she came to teen court with her dad, and she had to stand in front of the teen court jury and explain to them why she took that charger. And accept from them their punishment of 45 hours of community service. And that experience was far more impactful, and I contend a far more deterrent effect than her having paid a fine or something similar. So thank you for being here, and thank you for your attention, and I look forward to continue to serve you as JP.
In the Weatherford Democrat this weekend, I believe there was a chance for candidates to answer questions. And one of the questions dealt with your education. And I believe your answer was a little bit incomplete. You didn't want to go into full detail about your education. Could you expand upon that? If you don't feel comfortable going through all that, why is that the case?
Well, I certainly didn't mean to slight on the education at all. You're talking about continuing education? Well, look, my education, my undergraduate degree is in physics and mathematics. And after I graduated, I worked for NASA. And I learned a lot in NASA because I learned from working with astronauts, I learned important skills from them. Afterwards, I had done graduate work at Penn State in mathematics. And then I got my JD degree. And that took me 4.5 years because I was doing it part-time while I was working for NASA. And so that is my educational background. In addition to that, I mean, as an attorney, you have to have 15 continuing education hours. And I've taken a lot more than that. I believe in constantly because the law changes so much. So I keep abreast of what's going on. And I will continue to do that as Justice of the Peace.
Okay, this question will be from both audiences, the same one we asked the last group. Tell us what steps you will take to ensure that law enforcement officers have complied with or provided the required information when seeking search or arrest warrants.
We're presented with mostly arrest warrants. Our search warrant authority is real small because we're in JP court, and most JPs aren't lawyers, so the search warrant authority is little. Generally, when you get warrants, and I look at them, I've been doing it for the past 3 years, you have to look at the four corners of the document. And my job is not to tell the officer what he needs to put in the search warrant. My job is to look at whether or not within the four corners there's enough facts within it so that the elements of the crime are stated therein, and whether or not that is legally sufficient in order for that warrant to issue. And so I'm not sure I'm answering your question, but it's a little bit off. And we do that on a regular basis. Every time I go to the jail on weekends and on Mondays, that's part of our job, because you either have an undue arrest, where you've got the probable cause affidavit filled out and you're evaluating and comparing it to what they've been charged with and what the statute says, or you're presented with an arrest warrant. Otherwise, they go out and actually find the person. So does that answer kind of the question? All right.
You know, when you talk about warrants, that's part of the Bill of Rights, and I'm very attuned to that with freedom of speech, Bill of Rights. And when I would review something like that, I think what Ms. Johnson said is correct. You look at the four corners, you want to make sure that it is specific, because because notice is very specific in criminal law. And in addition to that, I think what matters to me is having the commitment and having the background to do things thoroughly, to do things in detail. And I would set out a very detailed set of requirements and procedures like I've done all my life, especially working with Maxim. And so that's how I would